Hi, I guess this is another edition of my Ranting in the Great Outdoors series. Got some birds contributing. I just want to talk quickly about Mythicist Milwaukee, which was a conference about skepticism and atheism and non-believing and so forth in Milwaukee in America, which created a lot of controversy by inviting Carl Benjamin, aka Sargon of Akkad, and Shoe-on Head and Armored Skeptic. Those were the main ones that everyone was concerned about. To their event, a lot of people saying, well, these are kind of controversial figures because they spend all their time going on and on about fighting feminism and social justice and triggered snowflakes and calling stuff autistic and retards and all this garbage that they think adds to the conversation but doesn't particularly and just divides people. And I've got like different issues with those individuals. I think Armored Skeptic does really bad research and his videos are very poorly sourced and there's a lot of inaccuracies in them, and you can pick just about any video and take it apart and find shit that's totally wrong with it. In that sense, I don't think he's the best representative for skepticism. Shoe-on Head, I don't really have too many issues with. I guess just that she's so obsessed with social justice warriors, like everything's always about SJWs, and I ribbed her about that today on Twitter, and she got a bit defensive about that, but it's true, like, you know, everything has to be about SJWs in some way, and you can argue, are they good representatives of skepticism? Perhaps not, whatever. And then there's Sargon of Akkad, who I think is just garbage, trash, like Anita Sarkeesian said it right.
If you Google my name on YouTube, you get shitheads like this dude who are making these dumbass videos that just say the same shit over and over again. It's like, I hate to give you attention because you're a garbage human.
He's just a horrible person, and I have first-hand experience with this, which I'll talk about later in the video. I don't really consider myself an activist. I know some people say, like, if you make videos online about social justice and stuff, you're automatically an activist or whatever. I just think I'm some guy on the internet who has opinions, and that's about it. That's the only thing I really call myself. I don't have some label like I'm skeptic or even social justice advocate, you know. I guess I'm pro a lot of social justice stuff. I mean, I just call myself a progressive and a liberal because those are the things that make the most sense to me, but I don't think in terms of like activism. So I didn't really get involved in any of the efforts to like deplatform people from this conference. I was just quite vociferous in stating my opinion that I don't know why someone like Sargon of Akkad would be at any kind of intellectual conference at all, because he's just a bully, he's an egomaniac, he's really bad at just analyzing and, you know, reading things and research, and not only that, he constantly calls people autistic and just does horrible stuff. He was described as a shock jock, and I think that's accurate. He is. You know, he's just in it for the shock, he's in it for the controversy, he's in it just to rile shit up and make everybody feel horrible and then defend making everybody feel like shit all the time. That's why I really didn't give a fuck if he got deplatformed, because it's like you're not losing anything. There's no real penalty for not inviting him to your conference. You just don't have a douchebag going there with his idiot fans causing trouble and just being morons. But when it came to Shoe-on Head and Armored Skeptic, I was like, well, I don't agree with them very much, and I can take issue with their videos and such, but I don't think they're bullies or toxic people. One of my main complaints for either of them is their tolerance of people like Sargon. They just constantly turn a blind eye to people like that, and then turn around and say, well, Tim, you turn a blind eye to this and that. And so it's just, you know, deflect, change the subject to somebody else, say, well, Steve Shives is bad, well, Christy Winters is bad. We're not talking about them currently, we're talking about Sargon of Akkad. And I do have some criticisms of Christy. I think she was too strident on Shoe-on Head and Armored Skeptic, and I don't think they deserve quite the same treatment as Sargon of Akkad. But even then, I mean, she went harder against Sargon of Akkad than those guys. I just think sometimes she's uncharitable towards Shoe and so forth. And I take issue with that. So yeah, okay, I just criticize Christy Winters. But I don't think she's a toxic garbage human being. Oh, sometimes she's condescending. So am I. So is everybody. So is Shoe. So is Sargon, is he condescending? Are you kidding me? Or Steve Shives. He says lots of negative stuff and he wants to delete people's channels and he blocks people. Okay, well, you cannot like that. How does that make Sargon okay if you don't like that? And Steve's not the person who's the conversation is currently about. He's in the mix, sure, but okay, yeah, if you want me to condemn Steve Shives, I wouldn't block in the way that he does, and also I totally disagree with deleting all of their channels. I think that's unfair and that's wrong. But I also think you don't have to invite morons like Sargon of Akkad to your fucking conference, because he has no place there. The whole conference turned out exactly as detractors were saying it would. Like a freak show. It was just a disaster. Thomas Smith, who's a podcaster, he did a conversation with Sargon, and one of the first things that came up was Sargon saying, I wouldn't even rape you, to a member of parliament.
You saw fit to tweet after, to say to her, I wouldn't even rape you. Yep.
Something I just don't care about.
Because you're awful. Yeah.
Huh? Wouldn't even rape you? Yeah, well, it's one of my good lines, right? And the audience was like, woo, yeah, rape jokes, making rape jokes at sexual abuse victims, yay! And Thomas said it went downhill from there because he had a lot of disdain for the audience because they were cheering rape jokes at sexual abuse victims, and that's entirely accurate and true. So it became very antagonistic, and it was very negative, and it was just like the shit show fight, and it wasn't about ideas, it wasn't about anything to do with substance. And I don't blame Thomas Smith for that, I blame Sargon for that, for having done and said lots of despicable, horrible things. And all of his shitty fans come to the conference and cheer, saying I wouldn't even rape you to someone on the internet, and this is like the discourse, this is the conversation. So it turned out exactly like how people thought it would, like a clown show. And Sargon fans and defenders are unbearable, because they always find a way to say like, oh, I wouldn't even rape you isn't a bad thing to say to somebody, but you are like internet trolls. You're not well-adjusted regular people. You have a distorted view of reality that everything is just about social justice this, social justice that. And sometimes it's not. It's just about basic human decency versus being an arsehole. And I think when a sexual abuse victim sees someone say, I wouldn't even rape you, they're not going to look at the ins and outs and the intricacies and the nuance of that. All they're going to see is this person is tweeting rape jokes at me like they think me being raped is funny. And then hundreds and hundreds of commenters doing the same thing. Now you might say, oh, she should be able to see the nuance and the philosophical thought experiment conversation. Regular people see nothing except you are making jokes at a rape victim because you think it's funny. That's all they see, and that's why they think you're deplorable, because it's not social justice versus anti-social justice. It's basic human decency versus being a horrible person. That's what it is. That's what the true conversation is about here. The place they're at is saying horrible things to people is some sort of victory in the battle of ideas or something. So the conference was horrible, and it was a joke, and it wasn't about atheism or skepticism or anything. But the reason that I'm making this video, because I wasn't going to comment, is afterwards some random dude released a video of Sargon fighting with some guy outside the conference. Just want to add a quick thing to my video. Originally I had thought that Sargon wanted to talk to Thomas Smith and then tried to get through Thomas Smith's friend to get to him, but I actually checked with Thomas Smith on Twitter and he said no, his friend Tom went to talk to Sargon of his own accord, and then while they were talking, Sargon said, there's a guy behind you that I want to talk to and you're blocking my way, move. He moved and Sargon went in, but then he turned around and faced the Tom guy again. So just to clarify, that's how it seemed to happen. So it does seem like the Tom person initiated that, but that wasn't clear from the video. And apparently Thomas Smith's friend, Tom, is from the Cognitive Dissonance podcast, so he's another podcaster. And people are saying like, oh, it was getting out of control and there was going to be punches and fighting and stuff. It's hard to picture a random podcaster throwing a punch and it actually turning into violence. So I still think the person saying this is an unsafe situation was very comical because it didn't look scary at all. It just looked like two people kind of bickering about crap. It's that kind of snowflake shit that, you know, the cameraman himself would probably criticize, but when he's the one saying like, I feel unsafe, then we're concerned. And a Sargon defender in my comments was saying, oh, the guy didn't move enough. But I think Sargon could have just walked further instead of stopping right next to the guy and then turning around and continuing to fight with him. So he didn't really try to get out of that situation. It's obvious that it's not a very dangerous situation by the video. Or is this just another situation, you know? I see SJWs get triggered all the time. So if I feel unsafe from a situation which is obviously not very dangerous, it just looks like two guys arguing, it's fine because SJWs did it first.
That's what it does, but what's the value?
The value is it pisses me off.
What's the value in that? It's the same thing. It's a circuit. It's a tautology right now, right? What is the value?
Is to put them on the back foot.
The guy says, what is the value? So it's cut off before that, but I assume like, what's the value of the way that Sargon talks about things like very antagonistically and calling people regressives and calling people SJWs and calling people authoritarians and collectivists and, you know, whatever, neo-Marxists, constantly putting in these buzzwords to put down people. It's not about ideas, you know, it's not about what actually is collectivism and what is authoritarianism. It's just about calling you a collectivist and calling you an authoritarian because that's what you are. You're that kind of person and you're the enemy and we have to stop you. And he's saying, what's the value of that? And Sargon says the value value is it pisses people off. And so the guy again is like, well, what's the value of pissing people off? And Sargon says, to put them on the back foot. Put who on the back foot? Obviously, he's just talking about the bad guys, the authoritarians, the SJWs, like them, the bad people that he just decides to put into that category. If he doesn't like their arguments, or he thinks they're too social justice-y, or they're too feelings-based, they get put in this little box. And he says, okay, all the people that I've put into this generic box, because I don't even listen to their fucking arguments or anything they're saying, and I just say everybody's triggerly path, or like everybody is some triggered SJW, authoritarian, Marxist, whatever, I piss them off. I have to piss them off. And I would say that's not dialogue, it's not conversation, that's just trolling, it's just being an arsehole. And it's clear when he was saying, like, I wouldn't even rape you to Jess Phillips or whatever, he just wanted to piss her off. He doesn't care if it hurts her, he doesn't care about how his actions impact anybody, it's just trolling. It's all lols, you know, life, being an arsehole is just lols. Treating people like they're dog shit, it's just lols. And that's part of why I just don't fucking respect the guy at all, and I never will.
Why is them that they actually don't have any control? All the control you're trying to exercise is moral.
I'm trying to exercise control.
And do you think I should change my behavior?
What's that?
Do you think I should change my behavior?
Oh, that's a good question. I think your behavior is disgusting and reprehensible. And I'm happy to talk to you.
Yours is a good example.
Well, that's okay, right? So I'm not bothered at all that you think my behavior is bad, right? Because
that's my answer.
Right. So, but your whole thing.
Sargon goes on to say, like, oh, you're just being moral busybody, you're trying to control me. And the guy's like, I'm reacting to you, which is different. Sargon's like, a lot of people are trying to control me. What's the difference between reacting to you and controlling you? And Sargon can't give an answer to that, because he literally just means, like, other people give opinions about my horrible, deplorable behavior, and then I just dismiss them. But I will call that controlling me. You know, so he doesn't really have an argument. He's not being controlled. People are just saying, hey, Sargon, you're a pile of garbage. And he's like, well, that's not going to stop me from continuing to be a pile of garbage, because you don't control me. Hashtag not an argument.
Your whole thing is
Really? How many of my
provoking.
videos?
A fair handful. Oh, I didn't count, man.
I've had 800 videos. Is my whole thing.
I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. So you just said.
I didn't
No,
count
you
them.
just said my whole thing is this, but you haven't seen it. You don't know.
A significant portion of what you seem to enjoy doing. Is that not true?
No, because you live in an echo chamber where you see one thing out of context or a couple of things out of context.
And Sargon says, have you watched all my videos? There's hundreds of videos. Like, there's videos of me talking about all kinds of things, history and politics and ideas and everything. And the guy's like, no, I haven't seen any of your videos. So Sargon's like, gotcha. You haven't seen all my videos. So if you just watch hundreds and hundreds of hours of me jerking myself off, you would get that I'm actually not a horrible human being, because I'm also a dickhead who can't read or do proper research. And I have a basic factual understanding of when shit happened during the Roman Empire and Gracchus and stuff. So obviously I can't be a horrible human being. But I've taken a short list here. Did the guy watch the videos where you were laughing along with a bunch of people who were mocking the murder of a friend of mine who was a feminist? Yeah, you were in that video.
Jesus Christ, that sounds really fucking horrible.
Well, now you ruined the fun of it, Rosalvo. Couldn't you hold this till the end?
Okay, so he got triggered.
I bet you ruined the fun of it.
Get triggered, yeah.
You apologize later, but I mean, if he'd seen that video, he might think that you're a shitty person. Did he see your feminism and autism video? Which, it's just lols, it's just hilarious to just throw people who have autism under the bus in order to mock feminism. Ha 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 ha. Treating them as lesser. Did he see that one? Did he see the one we said feminism is a mental illness and that it's cancer? Has he seen those ones? Feminism is cancer. Oh, it's an exchange of ideas. Feminism is cancer. Wow, what a fantastic exchange of ideas. This is so fucking useful. I'm so glad we invited you. When he doxed a girl for wearing a feminism t-shirt, yes, I am aware. He apologized later. I give him credit for that. But then he went on to dox an Antifa professor. And everyone says, well, he committed a crime. So what? Doxing is still wrong. Tell the authorities. You don't want to create street justice. You don't want people like going to this guy's house and trying to kill him or something, going to his workplace and causing trouble and causing a mess. That's vigilante justice. It's something that you should be against if you believe in the rule of law, which I do. It was wrong. So Sargon is a doxer. Did he see that video? Did he see the video where you called a girl with Down syndrome a kike nigger faggot? And the reason that you did that was to make this ridiculous point that words can't hurt you, and therefore be fucking horrible to everybody, you know, just call them horrible things. Did he see your video to David Sherritt where you said, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? You are a horrible human being. Oh my god, you're the worst. You are a snake. Oh, how dare you, because he made a parody account that made fun of you. And it hurt your feelings so much that you were like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Did he see the video that you made to me, Sargon?
Shut up, Tim. Fuck off. Basically, autistic screeching. This is like low-level autistic screeching. Not that bothered about your opinions, because they're demotivational. Idiot. Probably a bully memory in the back of Ben Shapiro's head that Trump brings to the fore every time he has to speak about him. And maybe it's the same with you, but Tim. Who knows? You can't acknowledge anything? Do you even look at, like, male suicides? Who knows what you find shameful, but the last thing you care about is other people. And just, again, Tim, this fucking false compassion is just embarrassing to watch. You don't care about any other people, for fuck's sake. Fuck's sake, what an idiot. And I don't even know why I bother. You are an impenetrable brick wall of bullshit. You lie. You are right now lying. You are lying when you say it's just about laughing at SJWs. Why would I be surprised that you just lie? You are so inculcated into your ideology that you don't even know that this is what you do.
Laden with insults, and again, the autism thing. Did he see that video? Did he see you and other shitlords take up the entire front row at Anita Sarkeesian's event as an obvious way of making her unsettled, because this is a whole group of people who have constantly made videos attacking and insulting her, and then acting all surprised when you got a reaction, because, like, Anita actually cares about harassment and cares about this shit, so she's like, yeah, the harassers that I'm talking about are right fucking here in the front row. And then pretending that you were the one that was victimized and you were the one that was attacked, and generally just calling everyone who disagrees with you, like, authoritarians, regressives, snowflakes, SJWs, commies, Marxists, collectivists. It just goes on and on and on. I would say that that would be enough stuff to watch to say this person is a piece of shit and is not worth having at a fucking conference. But he could have sat through a whole bunch of your fucking boring, stupid videos that are all just SJWs, authoritarians, trigger warning, safe space. Look at this person with blue hair yelling on a college campus, and then he would suddenly understand, oh, Sargon's actually a great person? No, you're a piece of garbage.
What he's trying to do right now is, because you see his buddy hiding in the back of the crowd over there, the guy that lost the debate really badly. This is all him sticking up for his buddy. That's why. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
And then the cameraman chimes in, and he's like, he's trying to protect his buddy who's hiding over there, Thomas Smith, the guy who badly lost the debate, and now he's, like, ashamed of the fact that he got wrecked. And to me, that was a telling comment, like, the Sargon fans, that's what they're there for. They're there to see ownage and wreckage and, like, oh, you got so owned and triggered, snowflake or whatever, because that's the culture they're in. They're in that wreckage ownage culture. They don't care about an actual exchange of ideas. They don't care about nuanced conversation and people discussing things and being able to explore why people disagree with each other. They're just like, oh, there's the guy who got owned. And that's the kind of idiots that Mythicist Milwaukee attracted to their stupid conference.
Tell me who. I want to know.
Thomas.
No, I think like what you're confusing. Don't fucking put your hand on my face. No.
Wait a minute.
Whoa, hey, no touching.
No one's telling you what to do. People are just reacting.
Here's the question.
And he just says, well, Thomas was just reacting to you. He wasn't trying to control you. And a girl starts talking, and Sargon puts his hand in her face. And she says, don't fucking put your hand in my face. And they're talking a little bit more, and then you can't see what happens, but someone's like, oh, no touching, don't touch. Later on in the video, you can hear someone say that she touched Sargon's hand, so she pushed his hand away. Oh my god. What a war crime. He was shoved, he was attacked, it was brutal, I am scared. But I guess what happened was she pushed his hand away or shoved his hand, and people are acting like, oh my god. Wow, so terrible violence. Like, does he have the world's most fragile hand or something? Like, okay, so there was slight skin-on-skin contact. He wasn't attacked, he wasn't shoved. She pushed his hand away because he put his hand right in her face, and you can actually see him go like this at her face. She's like, I'm actually trying to talk, and he's like, why do you think I give a fuck about what you think? I didn't ask you to talk to me. And she's like, well, why are you standing here then, talking to people?
Should I not finish my sentence?
Why would you think I'm interested in what you say?
I don't know, you're fucking out here, right?
Okay, well then do your thing and go away. Right? Do the thing that you tell everyone to do.
But you
turn around and walk away.
You're demanding my time.
I'm not demanding anything, man. I'm just here talking, having a conversation.
Yeah, you carry on.
So what? So here's the thing.
So what? You literally
here's your
I'm
thing.
Not demanding it.
I'm going from your video.
I'm
going from your video. Your video
I
says.
don't give a fuck about your opinion about my video, so we're not having that conversation. What's that?
I'll have whatever conversation I decide to have, just like you
but it
will.
won't be with me.
Well, then leave, because I'm here and I'm talking, and your
Come
choice,
talk to that guy, but
your
you're
choice, if you
invading
feel
our
insulted,
conversation.
is to walk away.
you're losing
You
your
say
shit
it
now.
all the time.
Losing your shit now.
I'm just getting
I'm
loud.
trying to have a
But
conversation
you
with
say
that
it all
guy.
the time. Well, have your
I'm trying-
conversation.
I can't, you're in the way.
Step forward, man.
very much.
All right.
See, you ass.
I stood in one place.
Yeah, because you
Right?
deliberately blocking my conversation with him. Why?
I stood in one
Why
place.
are you blocking my conversation with him?
we
He's
wanted to
answering, not
tell
you.
you you're a fucking
Why are you
asshole.
doing that?
But you don't have
I
a
care about
right
your
to
opinion.
block anyone else's
Why are you blocking my way?
conversation. We're not blocking
I didn't block your way. You
conversation.
walked through me.
absolutely did.
We're
I didn't
having a
move to
conversation.
get out of your way. Is that
Because
the same thing?
And it's
yes,
not-
you moved
it's
in
telling
the way,
anyone what to
and you
say,
refused
to
to move.
react.
What
You
you
know
do,
you're
It's
blocking
a
what you
consequence
want.
of what you said.
So there we go.
There's a
There we go.
difference. No one's
Just like I
arresting you
thought.
or
You are
anything.
afraid of real
You know what I mean?
conversation.
It's not authoritarian.
You're
shit.
You're
It's like pause the video and yell at a woman. If you say something provocative and no one evokes a response,
And here's the response. So here's the provocation. Here's the
that's
response.
not
It'll be
someone
provocative. Here's the
telling you what
response.
to say.
I'm surprised you didn't
Let's
get
have that
drastic for burning your
conversation.
cigarette.
This is what
Why are you letting
provocation
somebody
looks like in the
else's
real world when it's not on Twitter.
words control
Right?
your own
When it's not on
emotions?
YouTube.
Am I emotional right now?
What's that?
It would appear so.
Yeah.
So then eventually Sargon's like, well, I wanted you to move out of the way. So the guy's like, okay, I will move out of the way. The guy moves out of the way and he walks in and he turns around and faces the guy again. Even after the guy moved, he turns around and faces the guy and keeps fighting the guy and trying to intimidate him and trying to bully him. That's when the narrative that Shitlords have been putting out completely falls apart. Sargon chose to turn around and continue fighting with the guy even after he moved. It's because Sargon has such a fragile ego, he can't stand people standing up to him, he just loses his shit and he tries to bully people into silence. He did it to me, in my video to me, trying to bully me into silence because I dared to criticize the mighty Emperor Sargon. I think, fuck that guy. Absolutely fuck that fucking guy. And then eventually security shows up and they say to Thomas Smith and his friend, like, oh, you're causing trouble, like, you're causing a scene, you're being aggressive. And the cameraman is apparently a total fucking snowflake and coward because he's like,
Do you have something to add? Because it feels like you're attacking him right now. It feels like, I just want to be safe.
And again, this is what everyone was warning and saying about this conference from the get-go, that it was going to turn into a farce and it was going to turn into a joke. This is the kind of person you invite if you want it to be a disaster and you want it to be a shit show to regular human beings who are plugged into some of the ideas but are not part of this whole social justice, anti-social justice bullshit. It doesn't look good to the rest of the world, and understandably so. It doesn't look good to people who don't use autism as an insult. It doesn't look good to people who don't spend all the time denigrating others and putting them down and pushing them around and bullying them. It doesn't look good to people who just value intellectual thought and conversation. And I would say that this conference was run like an absolute disaster, and Sargon was just running around like a bully, as he always does, ruining everything. Fuck that guy forever. Demotivator out.